I know what you're thinking. You saw the trailer for this movie and thought, this looks like an absolute dumpster fire. Like, what is even going on? This is not gothic. This is awful. Well, what if I told you that all those cringy scenes are not actually in the actual movie? And what is actually kind of good. The Craft Legacy is a 2020 supernatural horror film written and directed by Zoe Lister-Jones, direct sequel to the 1996 classic The Craft, and stars Cailee Spaeny, Gideon Adlon, Lovie Simone, Zoey Luna, Michelle Monaghan, and David Duchovny. Jason Blum serving as a producer under the Blumhouse Productions banner. So a few weeks ago, when the trailer for this originally came out, I did a side-by-side comparison with the original 1996 classic and thought it looked pretty awful by comparison. Using the Disney Channel glitter to put on makeup, bubble baths with the magic of the solar system, and weak acting from child actors.
That's why covens have always been important.
Those cringy scenes that we're seeing in the trailer are not actually in the film itself. I don't know if they were alternate takes, deleted scenes, or if there were actually some reshoots to make the movie better. What I do know is that there's actually a couple of scenes that were held back from the trailer that actually made this movie an enjoyable watch. Let's start with the positives. First and foremost, this movie has a lot of moments that are just fun to watch. The characters actually talk like teenage girls in high school. You kind of enjoy the ride that they go on for the first 2/3 of the movie. The acting is strong, especially from Cailee Spaeny, who I thought was great in Bad Times at the El Royale, as well as Nicholas Galtzine, who I think turned in a pretty decent performance as Timmy, the high school bully. Unlike Skeet Ulrich in the original, the character of Timmy is given more to do than the additional three, and it's actually a key plot point to the story's overall narrative. This isn't bad. I wasn't expecting it, but it actually works. As far as the negatives, the movie is very woke. Dealing with the issues of toxic masculinity and bullying, I can see how this would be a turnoff for fans of the original who feel that's leaving the universe in which the original stemmed from. Yes, the character of Timmy is interesting, and in a certain light I would have liked to see them explore on that a little bit more, but at the same time, this is not the original universe of The Craft in which we're expecting. More than that, another issue that this movie suffers from greatly is that how paper thin the three main witches that she comes in contact with actually are. You could feed a line of dialogue to any of them and it would not make a difference because there's no defining characteristics that differentiate one from another. For example, if you look at the original movie, Neve Campbell's character struggled with third-degree burns or scars all over her back. Nancy had to go home to a trailer home with an abusive stepfather and a mother who drank too much. And Bonnie had to deal with the chick from Dodgeball because she was a racist and she would constantly pick on her simply because she was black.
God, look, there is a pubic hair in my brush. Oh, no, wait, that's just one of Rochelle's little nappy hairs.
They all seem to have relatable high school problems that you as an audience can kind of connect to. So when they actually do start doing the magic, you understand where they're coming from. Here in this version, it seems like the biggest problem that they have is that nobody will sit with them in the lunchroom, and they need a fourth to do magic. Other than that, they seem like they have charmed lives. Pun intended. Michelle Monaghan is great. I thought she was great in True Detective, although she doesn't really seem to have a lot to do in this movie. She kind of just shows up and disappears, kind of like any horror movie. They typically just seem to be in the wind, allowing the kids to run amok. But when she is there, she's there, but I wouldn't say she adds anything to the overall narrative of the story. David Duchovny. I like David Duchovny. Truly, I do. X-Files, Californication, whatever. He's a watchable, decent actor. But this, for the life of me, I do not know what he was thinking, what the team was thinking. He is so wooden and flat, and I don't know if it's an issue that he can't play the character that was written, or he simply doesn't care, but he does not seem to fit the Tony Robbins character that they seem to have set up for him. It just seems like a misfire. It doesn't quite work. I don't know what he was thinking. The movie suffers from a lot of issues, but one of the biggest ones I would say is that despite it being kind of fun tagging along with these witches for the first 60 minutes in the movie, which honestly felt less like The Craft and more like X-Men First Class, we get to the third act and we realize that there's absolutely no conflict to worry about. Things are going way too well. The third act tries really hard to have both a conflict and resolution that doesn't really feel earned or dreaded, and there's no sense of suspense. It feels very flat and forced even. Oh, right, we have to wrap this up. Here's an issue to go figure out. Kind of plays out like a TV show, like an episode of Charmed or Buffy the Vampire Slayer that feels like it's a little bit underproduced, a little sloppy. To kick it off, there is a very bad, very cheesy, very unintentionally funny CGI effect, a transformation, if you will, that had me laughing unintentionally. I mean, I was invested in some of the characters enough where I can overlook the bad CGI, but overall, it should have done more with the little that it did have. If they do continue to make another movie, and they will, the bad element of the third act, I believe, is resolved, and they can just distance themselves from that. They can bring in elements that the fans want, and I think that could actually help moving forward into a franchise. In conclusion, I think this film does work in its own right. It's not the gothic R-rated horror film that the original one was, and while the film does have a lot of potential to be a franchise, it absolutely has to dig deeper if it plans to expand on this universe. Just so you know, there is an MCU post-credits scene in this movie towards the very end. I thought it was amazing. In fact, I actually saw this one scene and said, I want more of that. This is the movie I want. And you should have given us that instead of basically made a prelude to the movie that we actually did want. However, I do think it stands in its own right in the same way that Cobra Kai does. It will apply for a new generation that will find enjoyment in it, and I think it does have the potential to grow into a larger franchise if it can go back to its roots and find the bite that was lost in this film here. They need to bring back Fairuza Balk. They have to bring back Neve Campbell, all those people. They have to bring back what people liked about the original movie. You know, it works, but it's not The Craft. So I'm going to give The Craft Legacy a C+. It has potential to grow, but it's not quite there. Anyway, what did you guys think of The Craft Legacy? Be sure to comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. We are still doing a giveaway for the digital codes coming this week. All you gotta do is subscribe, give this video a share, a like, comment down below, and I've been John, you've been Burned, and we will see you next time.